I came to Bhutan in 2002 to pursue my higher studies at the Tango Buddhist College in Thimphu. His Holiness the Gyawang Drukpa decided that it would be best for me to study in Bhutan after the demise of my first tutor, Umze Sherab, in 2001.
Umze Sherab had been with Gelwo Dukampa since he was 6 and had been a father figure to him. Gelwo Dukampa says that even though Umze Sherab punished him a little when he was extremely naughty, he could sense his genuine love even as a child. Umze Sherab was a master meditator and a student of the great Ladakhi yogi Trushik Pema Chögyal, one of the heart sons of Drupong Shakyashiri.
The loss of Umze Sherab was like losing a father for me. In many ways, his kindness to us all, his habit of giving second chances to everyone, his humility, clear of using anything that belonged to the monastery or was public property, greatly influenced my outlook on life. After his passing away, I think His Holiness the Gyawang Drukpa was concerned about my incomplete education and upbringing, as I was just 20 years old at that time. Finally, due to the kindness of His Holiness the present Chekhenpo Tuku Jigme Treda and His Majesty the 4th Tukyepo Jigme Singye Wangchu, who was the then King of Bhutan, I came to Bhutan for my further studies. Gyawang Drukpa always spoke highly of Bhutanese masters, about their wisdom, and with particular emphasis on their humility. Gyawang Drukpa especially wanted me to receive teachings from His Holiness the 60th Je Trizu Rinpoche and present Je Khenpo Rinpoche.
Strangely enough, Gelwo Dukampa had visited Bhutan on a pilgrimage in 2000 for the first time and had been to the Tango Monastery as well. He recalls thinking to himself that he was glad he was not staying in Tango. It was in the middle of nowhere and too quiet for someone who had lived in the bustling town of Darjeeling for most of his life. However, the 9 years of his stay in Tango turned out to be some of the most beautiful years of his life. Even now, many years after he graduated from the Tango Buddhist Institute, he remembers his small cottage there with great fondness.
I remember being struck by the silence at the Tango that was broken only by the rushing river. On the first day of my lesson, all the peaks were covered in snow, even though it was already the 4th lunar month. It took me a while to get used to this silence. Initially, I deeply desired to return to Darjeeling. However, former Tsuklak Lupin Rinpoche, Lupin Samten, who was the then principal of Tango, and His Holiness the Gyawang Drukpa managed to keep me at Tango by telling me every year that I just had 1 more year to go. I remain grateful for Lupin Samten's endless and unconditional kindness and understanding. Thanks to Lupin Samtenla, I had fallen in love with Tango by the 5th year of my stay. Thus, it was my stay at Tango where my love for solitude and silence grew.
Although Gelwo Dukampa's stay at Tango was memorable and all the teachers and fellow students always treated him well, it wasn't exactly a typical university life. One way or another, he was constantly reminded of the heavy responsibilities that accompanied the privileges of being a reincarnated one as a lineage holder of the Drukpa lineage. One of these was how others would judge him for everything he did or said.
I am often asked if I missed being a normal kid. In all honesty, I did want a simple, ordinary life when I was younger. Only with age I realized that every life holds its beauty and challenge. I joke that I may not have grown up enjoying Coca-Cola and burgers, but many Western children will not have also experienced the joy of ematadzi, Bhutanese chili dish. I may not know how to waltz, but I can perform mass dances very well. I may not have spent much time with my family, but my life has always been filled with love and kindness from my teachers and the many kind people I have met throughout my life. I believe that, like our fingerprints, every individual's life experiences are unique to oneself. Therefore, comparing oneself to others only diminishes the joy in our own life.
When Gelwa Dukampa was in his 8th year as a student at Dango, a gathering of Drukpa masters and Khenpos was hosted at the Druk Amitabha in Nepal, where His Holiness the Gelwang Drukpa shared his vision to strengthen the harmony and mutual respect among all Drukpas for the future of the Drukpa lineage. Gelwang Drukpa gave the following advice to all those gathered there. I am saddened by some of our lineage holders having a very territorial attitude. We only want to look after our monasteries or our region, and no one seems particularly interested in caring for the lineage as a whole. The lineage is more important than individual masters or monasteries. The very reason a master becomes a master is through the practice of the teachings of the lineage. Masters build monasteries to sustain the lineage. It should not be the other way around. Unfortunately, we also tend to get attached to a monastery and an individual master, leaning towards the approach of my monastery, my guru, instead of Drukpa lineage master and Drukpa monastery. This attitude of referring to my monastery, my guru, is dangerous as it creates fiefdoms that cause various divisions among lineage holders and monasteries. This individualistic attitude threatens the long-term survival, shared identity, to remain in harmony and unity with mutual respect, and ultimately to preserve the teachings of the Drukpa lineage.
I have always kept these words of His Holiness close to my heart. I have tried my best to contribute to the successful continuation of the 1,000-year-old Drukpa tradition wherever I have found the lineage to be existing. The annual Drukpa Council, ADC, was instituted to address these challenges and bring all the Drukpa masters and followers together in a spirit of mutual respect. The first ADC was held in Nepal in 2009 under the guidance of His Holiness the Gelwang Drukpa and with blessings of His Holiness the 70th Chekhenpo Tuku Jigme Choda. Since then, the ADCs that took place in Ladakh and Nepal have contributed to closer and frequent interactions among Drukpa lineage masters and followers from different parts of Himalayan region. It is truly a joy now to see the roots of the Drukpa lineage strengthen and revive in many parts of the Himalayan region.
Regardless of the region or the country, the essence of the teachings and practices are the same for all Drukpa lineage masters and followers, with slight differences in the mudras and some ways of conducting rituals, tunes, etc.
Whether you are a Drukpa lineage follower from Tibet, Bhutan, Nepal or India, the deity visualization and dissolution practices are the same. All the Drukpa lineage practitioners consider the four-armed Mahakala, Mahakali Trisulma and the raven-faced Mahakala as protector deities of the lineage, and Chakrasamvara and Vajrayogini as the principal deities of practice.
In addition to the essence of the practice, from the biographies of past masters, you will see that the masters from different countries were always receiving teachings from each other and reviving what would otherwise have been lost to time. These interactions led to the intersection of the teachings of Drukpa masters from various parts of the Himalayas.
It is safe to assume that there may not be any Drukpa meditator in Bhutan who is not a disciple of Bhutan's 68th Chapje Tizur Rinpoche. The Domsum Gyuik, the lineage of 3 yanas written by His Holiness Chapje Tizur, says that His Holiness journeyed to the Tibet and received teachings from various Drukpa masters of Tibet, such as Chokta Rinpoche of Dingboche Monastery and 8th Drukpa Shogun of Deshin Chongur Monastery. The root guru of 68th Chekhenpo for Drukpa lineage was Tuvang Tenzin Gyatso, who was student of renowned yogi Tuvang Shakyeshiri, known as the manifestation of Chakrasamvara. Tuvang Shakyeshiri was one of the favorite students of 6th Gelwa Dokhampa Tembe Nyima, and Shakyashiri's lineage goes back to Gyalwang Drukpa Pasawangpo. In this manner, with great effort and sacrifices, His Holiness Chapji Trisur Rinpoche revived many Drukpa teachings that had disappeared in Bhutan. When His Holiness the 70th Je Khenpo, also a student of late Chapji Trisur Rinpoche, gave a teaching on Techo Khollo Dompa in Punakha in 2012, more than 500 Drukpa lineage followers from Nepal, Ladakh and Darjeeling, including myself, were fortunate enough to receive it. Later, hundreds of Drukpa monks and nuns from outside Bhutan also received the Vinaya vows from His Holiness the 70th Je Khenpo. This is just one example demonstrating that all followers of the Drukpa lineage, no matter where they are from, do end up connecting at some point, like two streams from the same source, separating and merging again at different point. That is why there is much reason for Drukpa lineage followers in different countries to be harmoniously connected as vision in ADCs.
Gelwa Kampa remembers to this day how he was appointed the chairperson of the first annual Drukpa Council. He says he was utterly unprepared, as he had never even organised a birthday party in his life, and suddenly he was thrust into organising an international event that would involve thousands of people. To make matters worse, no one around him had the experience to help him with this either. However, he accepted the challenge because it was the first time his guru had asked something of him, so he could not say no. Thus, with his guru's instruction and past karma, he became the chairperson of the first annual Drukpa Council when he was 28.
With the blessings of my guru, I chaired the first and second ADCs and was gifted with my first group of volunteers called the Gikul Dukta, meaning the thunder that inspires and encourages people to do virtuous deed. I'm so grateful to my Tango principal who sent me to Kanglung to do a trupshin and to give a talk at Sherapse College when I was studying in Tango. It was the students I met there and others who joined as volunteers to support me during the ADCs. The unwavering support and sincerity of the Gikul Dukta volunteers for more than a decade continues to make several activities in Bhutan and outside possible.
In 2010, Gelwa Kampa was offered the Druk Ralung Shedrup Cherling Monastery by the community in Kabisa, not long after he graduated from Dango. But before deciding to accept the monastery, he sought the advice and the blessings of both his gurus, His Holiness the Je Khenpo, His Holiness Gyalwang Drukpa, and his teacher Tsukla Lopon Samten. His gurus and teacher told him that he would face some challenges, but accepting it would benefit the sentient beings. Previously, there used to be a small temple where Druk Ralung Shedrup Cherling now stands. From what is known, the small temple that could fit 20 to 30 people was built by Lama Dendup with his monks from Ralung Monastery in Tibet, who came to Bhutan in the 20th century after the Cultural Revolution in Tibet. After Lama Dendup passed away in 2001, the monastery's upkeep became a huge challenge, as it was a private monastery. Initially, the monastery was known as Druk Ralung Cherling, a name given by the monks who came from Ralung in Tibet. Although that was a good name, Gelwa Kampa changed the Cherling to Shedrup Cherling. Shepa means philosophy, and Drup means retreat or meditational part of the practice, as he always wanted philosophy and meditation to go hand in hand for Buddhist practitioners. His thinking is that just mastering philosophy is not enough without the meditation part. Not much in a transformation can take place without the latter. And to realize the essence of the name, facilities, curriculum, and necessary support systems have been integrated at Druk Ralung Shedrup Cherling for both learning and doing retreats. Gelwa Kampa's wish to create an enabling environment for Buddhist practitioners to study philosophy and practice meditation extends even to lay practitioners. After taking over the Druk Ralung Shedrup Cherling Monastery, he began conducting short retreats between 4 to 7 days for beginners to understand and practice Buddhism. His primary focus was his volunteers and schoolchildren. He was inspired to include schoolchildren after giving short teachings at Lungten Zampa Middle Secondary School, as per the advice of his principal at Dango University. In 2011, the first Dragon Yogis retreat was conducted at Druk Ralung Shedrup Cheling, especially for Gekel Drukta volunteers. Rinpoche recalls that there were just about 30 of them in the old temple, and there was not even proper toilets then.
I've always been touched by the devotion of the Bhutanese, especially the youth, to the Buddha Dharma. When Lungten Zampa school students were told by their principal to voluntarily stay back for an extra hour after their classes to receive a teaching, 90% of them stayed back. So I asked myself, when the youths have so much interest in Buddha Dharma, why shouldn't I, as a Buddhist teacher, create an enabling environment for them to deepen their knowledge and interest in Buddha Dharma? There are many complaints about Buddhism declining as a religion and not offering solution to increasing social problems. In such a situation, we cannot just keep complaining and expect someone else from somewhere else to come and help us. Even the Buddha said, you have to help yourself. So as a part of spiritual community, I always ask myself, what can I do to help sustain the Buddha Dharma and benefit the community? In my capacity, the only thing I can do is share the Buddha Dharma I know. So I began to accept all the invitations I received from the schools to give teaching and allow school children to attend retreats in Druk Ralung Shedrup Cheling Monastery. I think what helps them is gaining a new perspective on life. We also teach them appreciation, meditation, impermanence, the law of cause and effect, contentment, and humility are highlighted at the retreat. It provides the young mind something else to ponder instead of excessive material pursuit. We are very fortunate that we also had learned Lopins from the central monastic body during these retreats to engage with the students. I loved visiting schools and meeting students, as I feel it is the purest way of sharing Buddha Dharma. Whenever people ask me to give Wang initiation, I feel a little hesitant because I always get the Wang Yuan offering, which makes me feel like I am selling something. When I go to the school, the students have nothing to give me except their interest and respect for the Buddha Dharma. They barely even have enough pocket money for themselves. I have nothing to give them except my sincerity and my little knowledge of Buddha Dharma. I think it is such a pure interaction. This small gift of spiritualism to the youth of Bhutan is my humble attempt at repaying the immense kindness and support of 4th Druk Gyalpo, His Majesty the King, Her Majesty the Queen, His Holiness the Che Rinpoche, for allowing me to study in Tango.
In addition to the annual Drukpa councils and the short retreats, another special event Rinpoche had with the Gekel Drukdra volunteers was their pilgrimage to Singyezong. Inspired by Chapje Jadru Rinpoche, known as the Great Master of Pilgrimage, who walked to holy places for purification and accumulation of merit, they undertook the difficult journey. Singyezong is very special to Gelbo de Kampa because of Bero Rinpoche, the great Nyingma master. He visited Singyezong when he was Lam of Nimalung in Bumtang and said that Singyezong was among the holiest places in Bhutan. It was said that whenever Bero Rinpoche went to Singyezong, nectar would fall abundantly and stop only at the end of his pilgrimage. The volunteers and Gelbo de Kampa have been on several other pilgrimages since.
Coming back to DRSC Monastery, I built this new temple at DRSC Monastery as a tribute to Shabdrung Ngawang Namgyal's kindness. When I was younger, I used to think to myself that I will never build a monastery. To construct a monastery is difficult, and even more difficult is to manage and sustain it. On top of that, hardly anyone wants to be a monk or nun these days. Even if there were monks and nuns, managing a monastery entails looking after them. This is why I always say that if you are Rinpoche, you have a very large family without ever having to get married. I sometimes complain to the previous Khamtrul Rinpoche, as he was the one who first came to Bhutan and later passed away in Trongsa Dzong. I feel that he must have made certain aspirations that will benefit Bhutan, since he had such a strong connection with the country. It must have taken him 15 minutes to make the aspiration, but it took me 9 years to finish building the Dugralung Shertup Chöling Monastery. Having said that, it must also have been his blessing and power of his aspiration that made this happen successfully. From a historical point of view, people have different perspectives on why Shabdrung Ngawang Namgyal came to Bhutan more than 400 years ago. I would like to share my thoughts as well, with no intention to agree or disagree with anyone. When I think of the two reincarnations of the Khuingen Pema Karpo, Shabdrung Ngawang Namgyal and Gyawang Drupa Pasawangbo, especially from the perspective of acts of Bodhisattva, I get reminded of the story of Shonu Norsang, narrated in the Jewel Ornament of Liberation by Gampopa.
Manjushri guided Shunu Norsang, who was on the path to becoming a bodhisattva, to go and learn about the bodhisattva's ways and teachings from the king, Gelpo Mei. However, when Shunu Norsang saw the fierce-looking king, who was punishing people severely, even amputating their body parts as punishment, he thought to himself that the king couldn't be a bodhisattva and that Manjushri may have sent him to the wrong place. As Shunu Norsang thought of returning, Gelpo Mei said, "Shunu Norsang, I am the one Manjushri said to meet. I am doing this because the people here are so wild. Therefore, I have to use these methods to tame them. If I do not discipline them now, they will continue doing negative things, destroying this life and lives to come. Therefore, I am manifesting wrathful activities for the benefit of sentient beings." Gelpo Mei then snapped his finger once, and all the people being punished disappeared, as it was all his manifestation. As in this story, we cannot judge the acts of the bodhisattvas by their immediate action. If we must judge, it should be based on the result of that action. Like Shunu Norsang, we expect a Jiangshub Senpa or bodhisattva to be smiling and kind, but Gelpo Mei was just the opposite.
Shabdrung Rinpoche's coming to Bhutan was predicted by many masters. One of the signs of this prediction was that even at a young age, people will find grains of rice between his teeth, when rice was non-existent in Ralung, Tibet. Shabdrung Rinpoche came to Bhutan, resulted in the thriving of Drupa lineage in Bhutan for many generations and continue to do so. Similarly, Gyawang Drupa Pasawangbo flourished the Drupa lineage in Tibet and other Himalayan region. Thus, I have the most profound reverence for both the reincarnations of Khuingen Pema Karpo. This is not a right or wrong view, it is simply my perspective. For any significant event, there can be many perspectives: historical perspective, geopolitical perspective, spiritual perspective. It's up to us to choose which perspective is important to us. Since I am attempting to be a spiritual practitioner and follow the footsteps of enlightened masters, I believe that our belief, thoughts, and speech should not aggravate negative emotions of oneself and others.
Gelwa Dukampa draws further encouragement and inspiration from the last words of the third Gelwa Dukampa, Nawang Kunga Tenzing. I will rest in the nature of mind, within the inner mandala of Padmasambhava. Although I will enjoy the peace of nirvana, I cannot abandon suffering beings. So even if each sentient being takes millions of years to be freed, I will emanate in many incarnations for them and for the Dharma. I have no wish to care only for my own tradition, or just for those who respect me and are attached to me. I wish to be helpful to all beings without discrimination.
Through this outlook, devotion arises in me towards Shabdrung Namgyal for coming to Bhutan and establishing the Drukpa lineage. Due to this, I have always harbored the thought that if I ever built a monastery in Bhutan, I will want it to be a part of the central monastic body, to be seen as a symbol of harmony between Drukpa lineage masters and followers of different countries. I submitted to His Holiness the Chekhenpo that as long as I am there, I will renovate, serve and manage the Dukralung Sherpa Tshilling Monastery without requesting any resources from the central monastic body or the royal government. However, for harmony and sustainability after I am gone, I requested His Holiness to accept Dukralung Sherpa Tshilling as a part of the central monastic body. His Holiness, with so much compassion and trust, accepted this submission of mine. That is one more kindness among countless kindnesses that my compassionate Guru has showered upon me, for which I remain ever grateful. I am always thankful to be under the umbrella of blessing of His Holiness the Chekhenpo. Still, the acceptance of Dukralung Sherpa Tshilling as a part of central monastic body by His Holiness is an assurance that whatever effort and resources we put into building this monastery will not go to waste. The monastery will not be a run-down state like before in my absence, as now it is part of a larger institution. It is like the saying that if a drop of water is mixed with the ocean, the drop of water will not dry as long as the ocean remains.
The new temple at Drukralung Shedrup Cheling also houses the 900-year-old statue of Milarepa, which is said to have been one of the 3 handmade statues by Petaginki, Milarepa's younger sister. This statue of Milarepa was one of the most sacred relics of Druk Sangha Cheling Monastery in Tibet, founded in the 16th century by the 4th Gelwang Drukpa Kyungken Pema Karpo. It is said that in the past, this statue of Milarepa manifested miraculous signs of speech and growth of hair. This sacred relic was passed on to Gelwang Dukampa by His Holiness the Gelwang Drukpa as a personalized relic with prayers for the thriving of the Buddha Dharma.
As Bhutan is the last Vajrayana kingdom in the world and is an upholder of Drukpa lineage, I have installed the sacred statue of Milarepa as the heart Nangten of Amitabha statue in the DRSC monastery as a Tongdul, or liberation at sight. I would like to add that I submitted to His Holiness the Chekhenpo that the monastery will be Bhutanese in all aspects, externally its architecture, and internally the etiquette of the monks and the style of doing rituals. This is because I believe in adding to Bhutan's wonderful culture.
Buddha said that a tremendous amount of merits are accumulated when we build monasteries, stupas and statues. There is a story of a muddy pig that ran around a stupa when chased by a dog. It inadvertently ended up offering a bit of mud from his body to the aging stupa and ended up becoming an arhat. Rinpoche believes that a tremendous amount of merit has been accumulated with the building of the Drukralung Shedrup Cheling Monastery, as there was sincere motivation and effort from many people.
I would like to dedicate the merit of constructing the Dukralung Sherpa Tshilling Monastery towards the longevity and good health of His Majesty the King, His Majesty the 4th Druk Gyalpo, Her Majesty the Gyaltsen, Their Royal Highnesses the Gyaltses and Gyaltsem, His Holiness the Chapje Rinpoche, His Holiness the Gyawang Drukpa, all members of royal family, and all great masters of all lineage of the Buddha Dharma. I pray that the great spiritual relationship and harmony among all beings in the world, especially among Drupal lineage masters and followers, prevail for countless eons. We should never forget that no true spiritual master will ever want to create disharmony among followers of the same lineage as well as different lineages, when the very essence of Buddha's teaching is compassion and forgiveness. If we strongly believe in our heart that our past masters are manifestations of Buddhas in human form, then I think we can safely assume that they will want harmony and mutual respect among all Buddhist practitioners and all the beings.
Being in harmony and supporting each other will please all the enlightened beings to whom we continuously pray. This is in line with the teachings of the Buddha. Gelwa Dukampa also makes a special dedication of merit to the sponsors of this temple from Bhutan, Malaysia, Vietnam, and many other countries. Many of the sponsors have never been to Bhutan and barely know anything about the country. Rinpoche wants to assure them that as long as this monastery stands, and as long as this monastery continues to benefit sentient beings, transforming hearts and lives, then all those who took part in establishing this temple will receive immeasurable merits and blessings.
Life is impermanent and passing by every moment. The last moment instantly becomes a dream, and we don't know where we all might end up tomorrow. I rejoice over 2 decades of my stay in Bhutan, during which I have been fortunate to witness and be part of many auspicious occasions. His Majesty's coronation, the royal wedding of His Majesty and Her Majesty Gyaltsen Chisun Pema Wangchuk, births of the royal Gyaltses and Gyaltsem, Bhutan's transition to constitutional democracy from absolute monarchy. I am also fortunate to be in Bhutan during this global pandemic with COVID-19, where we are showered by the compassion of their majesties, ensuring each of us is safe and secure. With the memories of all these precious moments in Bhutan, my appreciation and gratitude to the Kingdom of Bhutan will always remain unwavering. And I pray that the people of Bhutan always enjoy peace, prosperity, and happiness. May there be no natural disasters, poverty, disease, and sickness. May the people of Bhutan always enjoy the wise leadership of great Dharma kings and the blessings of great master like His Holiness the Chekembo and other great spiritual masters.